working on. So I think maybe we should wait for a couple of other people to join, right? So we'll just do like a quick recap of what we did so far. Um, for the meantime, let's see how many people do we have on this call. So I think I'm going to start already. Welcome, guys. Adekunle Bashwa. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name well. Godwin, welcome. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share this. I'm going to share this file. We'll make it public so that let's see, can view. View. Okay, so just in case you want to view from your end, so I have that link pasted on the chat for this particular project. What we're going to do is we're going to just replicate what we have here on Figma, and we're going to come up with a simple mockup. We would also use the name we have here, One Energy. For the meantime, these are just the simple features. So I believe you guys were on the call when we did some of this. We have some other pages that are yet to be implemented, like paying bills, profile, latest news, e-wallets, settings, and also logouts. What we're going to do is we'll first try to work on a quick sketch, right? In here, we'll first try to work on a quick sketch to see how we can possibly, implement some of these screens. We are going to be doing like a search as well. Like we're going to search Dribble for maybe some sample profile pages, just to gather inspiration. We're going to check for wallets. We do not necessarily need to implement all this because remember that the major can actually pay their bill and also see their balance units. So this is a very simple app. This is going to contain the profile picture of the user. I'll show you how to come up with a mockup very fast. We're going to be very fast because we just have 1 hour. So if you have any question on what we did during the last sessions, from the simple user research, gathering the user personnel, the user's interests, the skills, the tech savviness, the reasons why they want to use the product. We are not selling this product. That is why we don't have an option here for the reason why they should buy this product. But ideally, if we... So someone is saying he can't join the stream. I don't know why. So maybe someone can attend to him. I don't know why. Okay, so so ideally, if we were monetizing this application, then we should definitely ask for the reasons why they should or why they would pay for our product or why they would buy our product. Also, the user personality is something you really need to know. Something you really need to ask and understand. The reason why we did not cover that on this call is because, of course, this is not a one-on-one interview session. Rather, we have a lot of people on the call, and we are trying our best not to disclose too much information about the young man Oladipo, who is part of this program. Sorry if the dogs in my background start making too much noise. I would have to mute myself for like a minute just to change my location. What we have here is basically touch points, but you only use this this option if you are currently testing with the user and maybe you're moving from one screen to another, either on a paper form. So it's possible that you work on this wireframe on paper and the user follows you through the journey on paper. It's also possible that you come up with this on a simple app like this where you can have this sketch and the user follows through, or you can also come up with a mock-up first, then create a prototype for the user to just move through the app from one screen to another. You can also use the touch point map here when the application has been completed. So you can definitely use this at that point as well. The reason why we did not use this here is because we don't have like a live user to say we are testing this like face to face. But ideally, this is what a touch point map looks like. So while the user is using this different screen, you categorize it into like stages. While the user is using different screen, clicking on one button or one action point, you are able to understand what the user benefited and the users so that you can easily know what to solve for. Yeah, and it's also good to track the gains, right? Let's see. And one other thing we have here is the user journey map, which I've explained also. And for the journey map, you can use the journey map when you have your wireframe, if you have the user testing live with you. So in most cases, when you're working in like a corporate environment, you probably have the user in the office with you, right? And then you can test for feature. You can use the journey map. There is also something called the affinity map, which I think I have explained. But I'll just go ahead and do that again because I mean this is something very important. And the affinity map is yeah. So the affinity map is basically what you're seeing. But let me show you how I got this right. So I'm going to click on the template affinity. So affinity diagram, I click on use templates. So this is what the affinity diagram looks like. Of course, working with the templates we have here. So what you see is we're just coming from thinking about this problem from one level to another level. So we do like a brainstorming session. Sometimes we can have a brainstorming session with a client, of course, or a customer or a potential user, where they are telling us what they feel is important to them, and we are trying to map out this on kind of like a board with sticky notes. So what you're seeing here is a bunch of sticky notes, right? And we're saying, okay, this is what we have at the top level. This is what we have at sort of like the mid level. And while we're brainstorming, these are the ideas we're able to come up with. Okay, from the ideas we have right now, what are the most important ideas to the users? We map out those ideas. Then we'll move on to like saying, okay, this is one of the basic things that the users are currently having issues with, and this is what we should solve for. Yeah, but most times I think what you would always start with is coming up with this trying to understand your user very well using this user persona. Um, I also went ahead to explain some other things here. So we're just doing a recap, right? So I also went ahead to explain, if I can remember this. I think I also did a quick explainer on the flow chart, though we did not really go deep down into that. And I think I can, yeah, I think I can touch on that a little bit. So just let's see. So this is also a framework you can use to identify some of the important things to work on. Things that have like high value, things that have low value. So it's measured based on the value and the efforts, right? So you can see we have like it's measured by the value and the effort. So if you have a particular item with high value and with high effort, you can definitely map these items. If you have an item with high value and you have less efforts, or maybe you have low value and low efforts, you map it in here. You have items with low value and high efforts. So you can actually use this to map out the important stuffs. And of course, you have a bunch of sticky notes here you can use to map out these items. And this is going to lead us to the topic of this week, which of course is project management, because you see you will get to realize how this project management and UI and UX have a couple of things in common. So right, we'll definitely see how those how they come together. So let me go ahead and delete this for now. Always remember you have a bunch of templates that you can definitely use for brainstorming. There's no specific there's no specific I can say this is what you must do, right? It doesn't work like that. The major thing is you understand what you're solving for. So if you're doing user research, if you're doing design, if you're working on wireframes, but basically you can always follow the categories here. So for example, you're doing like a workshop with your potential user. We have a lot of templates here for design sprints, right? We have templates here for like the customer question board. Most times you might not need everything here most times, but when you're doing collaboration, especially with the customers or with your co-workers, you'll definitely enjoy working with some of these tools here. Brainstorming and ideation, agile workflow, mapping diagrams. So I think I'm going to explain flowchart a little bit again, right? So I'm going to explain this a little bit again. And the reason why this is good at times is maybe you're trying to come up with like a site map, or you're trying to come up with like a user flow, not necessarily from the user journey map perspective, but just to have a flow that you can always reflect back on as a designer. We can say, okay, the user starts by hitting this specific action, which is like login, right? When you start the app, the next thing is to log in. If login was successful, take us to the dashboard. If login was not successful, send the message and ask the user to log in again, which means you can even bring them back to the screen, right? These are some of the things that you should let's put this here. So these are some of the tools that you should know exists right within a Miro, and you can use this for flowchart diagrams. This diagram that you see here, which looks like the diamond shape, this diagram is called a decision box. These diagrams you sign is basically for action or process, right? Action or process, and this items you see with the rounded edges is used for start and stop, right? Start and stop. So this is of course the result, which means you've reached the ending of that particular action. So it's possible to have like it's possible to use this alongside. Alongside this, right? Because what you're mapping here is basically different actions. You are mapping different actions, for example, registration, onboarding, and first use. So these are different actions that you're trying to map. And of course, you can also use this, for a personal use case. You can use this to map different actions. Okay, how would the user pay a bill, for example? How would the user pay a bill on our application? So looking at the flow diagram, I think first off, the user has to open the app, right? That's the start stage. The user has to log in or sign up, right? So yeah, so I think we'll also have like the login button here. So so you can easily reach here, right? So the user has to log in or sign up. If the user logs in and is correct, the next action is to take us to the dashboard. If it's incorrect, you show us a message saying this is incorrect, and you prompt that we should put the details again. And those are the actions, right? Just like the way you have a bunch of actions here. You want to pay the bill, you want to view your user profile, latest news, and all that. Okay, so those are some of the tools you are going to be using. Or some of the templates that you're going to find yourself using within Miro. Of course, you can always customize some of these things. You can always change the colors, but that is your preference and your choice to make. Okay, so let us come back here and let's see what we have. We have pay bill. So let's try to just come up with something really random. What should that look like when someone's trying to pay bill? Okay, so when someone is trying to pay the bill, I think we should implement this in such a way that they can only pay bills when they have some funds in their e-wallet, right? So which means I'm going to move this. And let's just call this side menu. Always rename this stuff so it will be easier for you to recognize. It's more like a dashboard. So this was the second option we had for the dashboard, but I'm going to take it off because we're not using it. Okay, so it's also possible that you don't want to have a sidebar here. Remember, I said it the other time that you can actually have like your icons, displayed here, like dashboard or maybe home. So you can have like the home icon, or you can have like the profile icon, or maybe you can decide to visit the profile icon by clicking on the user profile picture. Um, so if I also remember well, I think we added sort of like a greeting. I think it's off. Let me go back and put that again. Good morning. Oh, okay, so let's see. Let's start by talking about the profile page. So very simple. I'm going to make this very simple. So we'll have like 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to put in like a full name. So I'm going to be really fast, and I hope you guys already understand this. So full name, email, address. I think we should also have like I don't know, like a username or something. So, I mean, it depends on what you're trying to gather here, right? So, for the user profile, maybe I think the address is also an important factor. But it depends. It depends on how this application is going to be engineered because probably you might want to have like an address as a different set of data, totally different from the user's details, right? So I'm just saying this from an engineering standpoint because you must make sure that you have a proper model so that you don't confuse your engineers. So let's use this as a button. So I'm going to put in address instead of this. I'm going to use address. So we have the phone name, we have email, we have address. Probably we also have phone number, but I just want to limit this to this amount, this set of items. So this, of course, is your image. Let's just put this button here. Okay, so yeah, this is simply what we have. And the way this would work is maybe like a user should be able to update their picture. So I'm just making an assumption that this is going to be like a button that they can easily tap on to change the picture they have here. So quite straightforward, right? So these are the simple details we're collecting for the profile. We also have a section for latest news. Um, let's go ahead and implement latest news. I think I can also take this off. Okay, so latest news. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I think it basically depends on how you want to model this specific item. But for me, I'm going to implement more like a card, right? I'm going to implement more like something like a card, and each card would this is a card, and each card would have like yeah, like its own details. I need to cut this out. So let's just move this out a little bit. So I'm going to have like like two texts. One would be the heading, and one would just be like the description. So more like a very simple blog kind of pattern. So you have the news heading, then we have the the detail, right? So let me quickly grab a bunch of text from here. Hold on, please. Yeah, so you can just, if you need like a dummy text, you can easily go to the Lorem Ipsum generator online. They have a Lorem Ipsum generator online. So I'm just going to copy, what I saw there. It's looking quite small. 1 minute. Control C. Okay. So of course this is too much. So let's drop it a little bit, maybe somewhere around here. Okay, so if I click on this, of course we are going to add a blog, like a news image, right? So we're going to just add an image here. Okay, so one more thing you might want to add to this news, of course, when people look at news, they always want to check like a couple of things, such as the dates. Maybe you might not want to add features like, likes, comments, and all that. But of course, the more realistic notes, you might have all those stuffs. So let's just go ahead and put the dates, only the dates. So I'm just going to assume January 1st, 2030. You might also want to have like the name of the person that created this article. So you might have that at the bottom as well. Um, so you can actually do something like this. Yeah, I don't know why this is not giving me. You might want to do this with Figma. There's nothing wrong with doing this with Figma. So let's assume you have the dates down there. Then here you have the name of the writer, right? But who knows? You might want to have like a very simple card showing the image of the writer, not compulsory, but maybe you just want to have that. So you can actually have the name of this guy here, and then you have the date on this other side. That's also valid, right? That also works, but I'm just going to leave it this way for now. So something very simple. I'm going to group this. I'm going to duplicate. Yeah. So our assumption here is, this is what this should look like for the latest news. Then we have the e-wallet. So let's call this latest news. Let's call this profile page. Let's call this e-wallets. And let's take this off. So I'm quickly going to check e-wallet system. Um, So you can search on Pinterest. You can search on Dribble. If you already know what an e-wallet looks like and how it functions, maybe from other apps, of course that is still something you can work with, right? So the idea is you're trying to top up. I believe you're trying to use that you're trying to top up from your bank or from your account into the wallet. So let me go ahead and just see. Okay, so looking at a sample from here, I'm going to come up with a simple. Wow, okay, so I'm going to ungroup this. Okay, so we're not going to like finish every single part of this because of time. I think we already spent almost 30 minutes. Something very fast and simple. Um, okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm just showing like the balance. We can also like drop a description to say this is your available balance, right? So let's try to do that. Just glitch on my end, please. 1 minute. Okay, so let's continue. So we have the price. This is like the amount that we have left on our wallets. We're going to use this to say your wallet's balance is. So of course you can decide to break this into multiple pages where you say you have some buttons, asking the user to top up their wallet. Well, we're going to directly on one page. We don't have to like move into different pages. But of course, for a better experience, I think I would also ask that you break this down into several sections. It can be within the same page. It can be like on a separate page, right? So this is your wallet, and maybe when you click on a button, this can be made even more beautiful, right? This can be made even more beautiful. If that is your concern, you can definitely put this inside some sort of card, like you've seen apps, with the ATM, sign, showing you like your balance and a couple of description, maybe like your name and all that. You can definitely do something like that. So we're just going to have this. This is your wallet's balance. Then we're going to have some options asking you to top up. I'm just going to reuse this for now. So of course we're not having like a deep down session here where we are kind of like thinking through what on every button, right, or on every page. We're just trying to quickly see how. Yes, so this can be done on FigJam. This can be FigJam, and of course collaboration as well on FigJam. I think though wireframing even within Figma, like on the design file, you can actually go ahead and I would personally, depending on the projects, implement some of these things on Figma, right? So if I feel more comfortable, and maybe I have like my team on Figma, so if we're collaborating, I think if we're already using Figma, of course, but it depends. You might also want to use Miro so that you can do this on the same page where you have like your user response, taken down, so you always have access to those things, and you can always view. So I'm going to put this at the bottom here. I'm going to move these items to the top. But of course, this can be done on Figma using FigJam. So we have like 3 buttons here. The problem with this, when you're implementing some of these designs, you should also try to understand some principles. Like these are meant to be buttons, but the question right now is how would the user's thumb probably get to these buttons? I mean, they look a little bit far off. So let's bring it, somewhere here. Now you have like a lot of white space here. So what can you do within those empty space? So let's just group these items first. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so this is a sample screen that I took down from Dribble. So let's look at what we have here. So we have options such as transfer, top up, history. Then we have different. So this is more like a complete wallet system, and as you can see, using this system, you can make payments for electricity, internet, voucher. So this is way beyond the scope, but you can make like bunch of payments. And of course, they are also displaying like promo and discounts. We don't want any of this. This is kind of way off what we're trying to implement. This is your available balance. Okay, right here. These are the major actions. So I think we can actually have like we can actually have this. So I'm wondering here, and you can easily have access to this item. So I'm trying to imagine how the users would, for example, click on this with their. If you're holding this phone with your right hand, then it's possible to get down to this point with your right thumb. I don't think that's possible though, so you have to probably use your left thumb and also stretch down to this particular place. Um, yeah, so I think I would definitely want us to put in this promo and discount. We're not going to implement that here. Instead, we are just going to have these options here first, and then we'll just use like an empty, like an empty item to show the promo and discounts. Okay, so you have the promo and discounts, which of course would display like some banners here, like adverts and all that. Okay, so this is basically what we have. So in here we're going to put in some of these items such as transfer, top up, history. Um, I don't think the transfer feature is needed here, so we can just put the top up, the history. Yeah, I think that works. So top up and history. So what do we do here? Should we go ahead, take this off, and probably use this button? You have something like this, something smaller of top up. Remember, this is a wireframe, right? So feel free to explore a lot of other options when you're coming up with your mockup. So maybe you might discover that something else is better. But I think I like this because we're kind of like following the same pattern, right? So but probably we just have to take this a little bit closer. Command D, and we are able to duplicate. Unfortunately, one item still looks bigger than the other, so let's just drop this down a little bit. Yeah, duplicates. Okay, All right, so I'm just going to put in Control C on this item, Control V. So I'm just going to put in let's first change this color to white. Top up and history. Okay, so basically, this is what we have, right? This is what we have right now. Of course, we have another page for settings, which would basically carry like the settings for the application. So you have the opportunity to explore and come up with a lot of screens, as many as you can. But at the same time, you need to understand that you're optimizing for the user, not yourself. So this is what I would call the splash screen. Of course, you can see we don't have like a wizard, like an onboarding wizard. So an onboarding wizard is basically the screen you see when you open a lot of applications, trying to tell you about the app or how to use the app, or the process of probably performing the vital action on the app. So it depends on the application developer or the company. The onboarding wizard can show multiple items, but at the end of the day, the purpose is to serve. Is to help you explain a couple of things to the users, right? To the users. So at the end of the day, now this is what we have. This is what we have so far. So good. We have the pay bill, and I think we don't have a screen for the pay bill yet. We have for the e-wallet, the news. We don't have for the settings. What we have for the profile. So when a user is about to pay bill, probably we can also reuse this page. So now you need to understand that even on the e-wallet page, this is not even like completed, right? So if someone clicks on that, you probably need to show like it can be a modal if that is the best way. If that's what you think is the best way, not a bad idea. It can be a modal. I wanted to take this off. Just this guy. Okay, so a modal is that screen that shows up inside another screen with a bunch of items. So of course you're trying to top up, and you're trying to top up from your card detail. That's the assumption we have here. You're trying to top up from your card. You already have like your card detail in here, so you just want to put in like a specific amount. So I think for those of you listening to me, you can also help me out here. What are some of the details that you think should come in here? Let me go ahead and expand this item. Control G. Okay. So what are some of the details that should come in here? Like, the card, the detail when you are making this payment. Please go ahead and drop your answer. Let's make this interactive and fast, okay? So we're trying to top up. We've seen like this is the wallet balance. No, we don't want to take the card number. Yeah, I get that. So we're already making an assumption that you already uh, okay. So this is supposed to be, sorry, this is supposed to be pay bill, right? So basically what you're showing me there is like your card details, CVV, expiry date, card name, those kind of stuff. That's when you're trying to top up, right? Do we need to? Okay, let's go ahead and implement that. It means we still have multiple screens to work on, and okay, still have a lot of wireframing screens to work on. Then I actually wanted us to skip that, but it's fine. So let's just assume this is going to tell us if our card entry is a MasterCard or VEF card, those kind of stuff. Then here we are going to put in like those details that were mentioned by Victoria, card number. And we have the, let me just expand this. So we have a card number, we have the expiry dates, we have the CVV. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this as an assignment to work on the mock-up for this, right? The high fidelity for this, because of the time. But so let's see. Okay, so yeah, so that location and distribution company, I think that's what I actually needed for the pay bill, right? Please go ahead and drop more details on that. I think you're on point there, Oladipo. While we finish up with this, so probably we can also ask for the name on card. I think I've seen this at times on some UI, but definitely not. I don't think it's compulsory for processing the transaction. So card number, this, that. Okay, and when you do this, we're going to process, or let's just use top up, right? So probably that's something more relatable with. So let's just top up. So when they click on this, so this is going to be a modal, right? Meaning when this appear, this is going to probably be invisible, right? So because it's going to have some sort of overlay, and you might not be able to see the button, or it might be so faint on the background, right? So that's basically what I mean. Let's delete this as well. Okay, so I think let's go ahead and implement this when you want to pay bill. So right now we have on the e-wallet. This is the e-wallet page, right? You have like the promo and discount, top up, payment history. So when you try to top up, the transaction is performed from here. If we are doing our prototyping, and successful or failed, right? It's either successful or failed. So I think maybe what we should do is let's add this on a different line so that this would. So let's try to take this to the top a little bit. I think I have some things here I need to take off. Take some of these things off once I'm done. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring this e-wallets so that we can just go ahead and okay. So this is how you top up, add money to your. So we're expecting two items here, right? So let's call this the top up model, and if this is successful, so now we're trying to wireframe the states as well, which is something you would always do, right? We're trying to wireframe the states. Yeah, so from Oladipo, that's a very good suggestion. When you top up, it's probably going to take you to an OTP stage. So maybe you have like a message from your bank, or maybe you're using like the hard token thing. So it's going to send you a message from a bank if you are working with the soft token, maybe like some PIN or numbers to your phone number or email, and it's going to ask you to enter those items. So let's just try to model it the way most platforms would do it. Not so difficult. Maybe you have this. I mean, it can be one straight line, right? But let's just do this. So you have like 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers. Can you just come closer? Okay. So I'm going to leave this at 5. So and I'm going to just put a very simple description at the top there. Okay, so enter OTP, then maybe you have a button here saying proceed. Yes, another thing is, it's good to make sure these buttons, not the one within the modal, right? But these buttons outside the modal. It's good to make sure that you have them on the same line, right? So of course you can definitely look into that when you're working on your high fidelity design, right? So here we can just say complete payments, complete transaction. Complete transaction. Okay, so two things here when you complete transaction, success or error. I don't want us to have a new page for that, right? So instead, I want us to have that success or error message, show up right here. Coming up with the mockup, you should know how to present this, right? If it's success, you should know the kind of the way to present it, maybe like with like a check mark or something. If it's error, you should know how to present as well. So I'm just going to call this like the success. Mm, maybe like wallet top up or successful. So probably you have this with like some icon if you want to. Yeah. So you have this some sort of icon here, so telling you if it was successful or not, or if it failed. So this icon will change based on the state. Um, okay, so I think I can now use this as pay bill. So right here we have oh my goodness. So this is going to be transaction. Sorry about that. This is going to be transaction status. Okay, so all right. So this is going to be pay bill. Okay, so we're currently working on pay bill. Okay. So you can definitely group this into different sections. For example, authentication. So the reason for this grouping is so that you will be able to so that you'll be able to have enough space to visualize what you're doing. You understand what you're doing well and what you're not doing so well. So if you have this, for example, as a splash screen, right? If we have this as our splash screen, we have this as our authentication, and authentication can also send some sort of pin, right, to your email to validate that. So you can have a separate screen for doing that if you want to have that as part of your workflow. Try to make your app as simple as possible. If you can, remove, the stress of using some screens instead of having like OTP or some sort of back. Maybe you can just use like the email validation thing, so you can just click on the link and it validates over their browser. Then you can ask them to go back and log in, right? So I think that's not a bad choice as well. So now that you have the authentication, which is this, basically just this two for now. Of course, you can have more than this, as I said earlier. The next thing you have is the dashboard, and then also the side menu. If we were to work with the side menu, it means we're going to end up having like we're going to end up having like the. I think I deleted that already. Let's see if we can get it from icon sets. So I think I spoke of icon set the other time. So we have like hamburger. We don't have that menu. Drop the menu. Select the menu and the menu. So let's see. Okay. Okay. So you can work with the hamburger menu to give you this menu item here. Of course, you have like different icons. Okay. So of course you have like different icons, and having a good sense of spacing here. It's also nice. Probably I should be able to. Okay. So yeah. So pay bill. Let's try to finish that. So pay bill, which is right here. I think someone dropped a couple of yeah, location. I'm just going to move this. I mean, thank you for this. Thank you for this. What else do we need? Okay, location, distribution company, the meter number. Is that all? Oladipo, is that all? So location, distribution company, meter number. Um, okay. Okay, so this is disabled, right? This is going to be disabled, and what happens there is this is going to be like auto filled. Uh, okay, so I think there was a slight disconnection there. I want to be sure that you guys can still hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, so this is going to be disabled, and once let's see if I can have like some sort of highlights. Thank you. So once you put in the meter number, this would pop up automatically, just like a form of a confirmation to show that this is actually your meter, to avoid mistakes, right? This is going to show your name and your address. I don't think this is vital detail enough. I think we need to also have another detail, maybe like a phone number, because of course you can have. I mean, it's going to be like very rare, but I believe it's possible to have like two people bearing, that same name, and of course not the same address, but just to avoid any sort of conflict. Let's also have the phone number. So this will be like the means of verifying the details you put in here. You can have like a description asking for meter details, right? Um, yeah, or maybe you have like a better term to group this. I'm not really a fan of having like so many items, on a page, like so many input items on a single page. But yeah, if there's a way you can optimize this, I think that would be great. So what we are doing right now basically is pay bill. So you can have pay bill right here. Okay, so you can have pay bill right here, and yeah. So I think this is great so far. If this is successful, you can probably have like yeah, you can probably have like um, my goodness, you can probably have like some sort of indication here showing that this was successful or not. Okay, so I think I'm going to allow you work on this. For those of you that submitted the previous assignments, well done. We'll definitely revert to you on that shortly. So this is going to be like a notification telling you if your request was successful or not. Um, and when you're done, you should be able to navigate back to dashboard. I mean, this should be automatic, right? So maybe you have like this showing up for like a few seconds, maybe just a second or 2 seconds, and once that is done, probably takes you back to the dashboard. Yeah, so if you have more features, of course, you can definitely add more features. And when you're probably done with all this, the next thing we should probably consider is the mockup, right? But of course, users can test with this. I mean, this is enough for testing. That's what I mean. This is enough for testing. Um, so if this is what I have, just to just to make sure this shows up on one page. Okay, so this is what I have right now. I shared the link to this file already. If you want to go ahead and put in the onboarding wizard, yes, you can. And I think it's a very vital part as well. It's very vital you have that wizard show up, right? So it's good to explain how to use this, how to use the application, right? How to use the application properly. It's good you explain how to do that. So maybe you can easily come up with something, right? So let's take this off. So this is more like a wizard where you have different images show up here with a bunch of descriptions. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste this up here. I'm going to probably delete that and use this. I have more text here. Copy this, paste it in here, reduce the amount of text. Uh, yes, then put this in center. So this is more like a description showing what you have here. So you have like, next, of course, on the first page, we have like next. On this page, you probably don't have next. On this page, you have like back. You have like next here, okay. So let's just assume you have 3 pages, right? Let's just assume you have 3 pages for this. You have back, and here you have like finish, right? So with your respective icons, right? So let's say this is a onboarding wizard, onboarding wizard one, onboarding wizard two, onboarding wizard three. We have a splash screen. Sign up, sign in. Okay. So maybe when you sign up, you have some sort of verification. You can go ahead and put that here. I'm not going to put that here. So this is what we have so far. I was hoping we could quickly also work on the mockup, but rather I would allow you work on the mockup. So um, make sure you check the URL. I dropped the link to this file, so make sure you access this file. And I would have to drop the assignment, showing like the description of what you're expected to do with this specific file. This is straightforward. This is not a big deal. All you have to do is convert this to high fidelity. Put in colors. I mean, your choice, right? Do your research properly. Put in colors and try to make this beautiful for the users, right? So we just have a couple of screens here, and I believe this is something you can pull off. I don't think we have the settings page, but we can definitely implement the settings page. So you can implement the settings page. Yeah, you can implement the settings page. Yeah, so I think that's all. That's all. I'm going to take this away from here. Um, Okay, so we're supposed to have like an introductory session to project management today, but we would have to do that on the next call. Project management regarding how to manage your UI UX processes, how to allocate time to some of these things, and how to manage your time and your process while building up a system or a software for your clients or in your company. Sorry for the noise. Sorry for the dogs. Yeah. So basically, this is what we have so far, and I hope you are able to take something out of this session. Uh, kindly let us know how far you've gone with us during this program on the chat. Just so we know if you need further assistance regarding setting up classes for you and all that. So let us know in the chat, and would also respond. If you have any questions, also go ahead and drop the questions in the chat. And thank you very much for participating into this session. Have a wonderful night.